Good afternoon. Today is October 31st, 2023. Hope everybody's had a good day. I'm not going to be talking about Halloween tonight. It was a big deal when I was a kid. I could care less about it today. I'm not going to give you a sermon on how it's demonic and or anything like that, but I'm not going to defend it either. I am going to talk about an event, a tragic event that occurred 3 years ago today, in which an old friend of mine passed away in Austin. Alan Goldsberry, it's his picture right there, was my roommate 50 years ago. When we not at college, we didn't go to the same school. I went to Baylor. He went to University of Texas at Austin. But we roomed together when we were both selling books for Southwestern Company out of Nashville. We were sent to Pulaski, Virginia, and Alan was a good guy, and we had sporadic contact over the years. And Alan was a native of Rusk, Texas. That's down in East Texas, and he was a student at UT Austin. He arrived on the book field about a week after I did. We both went through sales school in Nashville about a week apart. My first roommate ended up leaving after a week. He didn't make any sales, and he got very discouraged and went home. And Alan was sent to replace him. And did we always get along? No, we didn't. Were we soulmates? No. But he was a good guy, and I think I'm a good guy. We managed to tolerate each other, and before the summer's out, we actually ended up liking and respecting each other. Alan, I believe, was a business major at UT Austin. I'm not sure what year he graduated. We went to this Appalachian community of Pulaski, Virginia. I didn't have a car up there with me. Alan drove a Volkswagen, and we lived at Connie's boarding house at 150 Valley Street. And we get up in the morning, they'd have breakfast there, and Mrs. Connie Burns, our landlady, would fix us some sandwiches for lunch, and we would be on our way. Alan would drop me off at a particular place, and we would meet up again in the evening. He'd be working one place, I'd be working another place, and we were there the entire summer. And we both had our times of discouragement. Alan grew up in the United Methodist Church, and he seemed a little bit skeptical about certain things. But then, by the end of the summer, he was repeatedly saying, "Praise the Lord," and seeing God was really working in his life. We wrapped things up on our last day of deliveries was September 1st, 1973. And by the way, you can be very good at selling the entire summer. And if you don't do your deliveries right, you lose a lot of money. Well, Alan and I, that Saturday, we had our last day of delivery. Actually, that Sunday morning, though, one customer I was unable to catch the night before, I went by and took her book to her. And then on our way back from Pulaski to Nashville, we were going up down the road saying, "I'm not interested. I don't want any. I don't need none." That's what we were getting all summer long. "Yes, sir, son. Those are real nice books you got there. Don't think I'll take there one today." "You're doing a good thing." And we reminisced about a lot about that. We landed in Nashville, and we ended up spending the night there. And then we it took, let's see, the Sunday was the second, third was we got there. Let's see, night. Um, um, yeah, late that Sunday night. It was the Sunday was the second. It was the third was Monday, and we spent then seemed like the entire day getting checked out and clearing up the books and everything, settling with the company and getting our checks for the summer. And then we hit the road and we literally drove all night. Alan drove from Nashville to somewhere in Tennessee. I drove from where in Tennessee to uh, through Memphis, Tennessee, and West Memphis, Arkansas. He took over the wheel and drove from West Memphis to Little Rock. Then I drove from Little Rock to Texarkana, and he took the wheel again, and I went to sleep. And in Texarkana, when I woke up, we were in Marshall, and then we went to his house um, in Rusk, and I called home and told my dad, "I'm in Rusk. What are you doing in Rusk?" Well, see, there is a state psychiatric facility, Rusk State Hospital there, and so we were joking about that. Several years later, I would work at Terrell State Hospital, a similar facility. But Alan, we had breakfast at the house. I remember going upstairs and taking a nap, and then we ended up driving on down to Waco. Stopped at with my parents, and he ended up having dinner with us, and then we offered to let him stay the night, but he drove on to Austin and for start classes at University of Texas. I got a call from Mike Contreras Jr., who would be my roommate that year at Baylor. And the next day, I went to meet with Dr. James Leo Garrett, my major professor and lifelong friend. But that's another story right there. It was during that fall semester, Mike and I, along with some others, attended. Only out of town game we went to was the game in Austin when Baylor played UT. I tried to get a hold of Alan, but he wasn't in. It was the following May or late in the semester that Alan, along with sales manager Tom McDowell and some other people, came by, and they came to my apartment in Waco. Uh, I've often regretted not taking Tom McDowell up on his offer of a second summer in which I would have been a student manager, but that's neither here nor there. And the summer of 74 didn't turn out near as good as the summer of 73. Alan did take him up on the offer, and he worked in Zephyr Springs, Florida during the summer of 74 and Union, South Carolina in the summer of 75. And he was back not far from where we started out in Pulaski. He was in Roanoke, Virginia in the summer of 76. However, he described that as his crash and burn summer. And this is very, very unfortunate. He could not, about halfway through the summer, he sat down. He couldn't knock on any doors. He went on back home. Didn't make any money at all. That happens. He had a career in business. I talked to him on the last time I talked with him was in 1994, in which he was in Atlanta, Georgia. He was married and had two sons, and he was contributing author to a couple of books. He wrote one book entitled "The Faithful Majority." Common Sense Revisited. And then he and his wife, Cindy, contributed to a book, X Factor Sales Accelerator V2V, From Vendor to Value Creator. So he was a very creative person. We have become friends on Facebook, and I talked to him about, the possibility in this year, 2023, to mark the 50th anniversary that summer with a trip to Pulaski. By the way, I've not made that trip yet because of some unforeseen circumstances. Haven't given up on it, getting up there before the year's out. At one point, Alan sent me a message on Facebook saying maybe we could meet in Nashville and take a road trip. That would have been nice, but obviously that's not going to happen now. Earlier this year, I was at a meeting in Palestine and learned from a colleague from Russ that Alan had passed away. And I Googled it. It was on October 31st, 2020, 3 years ago today. Alan was 67 at the time. That was a Saturday. It was a multi-vehicle crash in Austin. It was after a chain reaction crash. According to a preliminary investigation by the Austin Police Department, a black 2013 Dodge Durango was traveling northbound in the outside lane in the 1200 block of Research Boulevard at approximately 9 p.m. The driver braked suddenly and caused a tan 2017 Honda CR5 to stop abruptly. Another vehicle behind the Honda had to swiftly change lanes to the left in order to avoid hitting the Honda. At that point, a gray 2014 Jeep Wrangler, which was traveling behind the third vehicle, was unable to stop and struck the rear of the Honda. The Honda then slammed into the Dutch Durango. The driver of the Dodge truck unlawfully left the scene, according to the Austin PD. A witness was able to follow the Dodge and report a license plate number to police. Allen was transported to St. David's Round Rock Medical Center, where sadly he succumbed to injuries at 10:56 p.m. And I just found out about it earlier this year, and I was very, very sorry to hear that. I had sent information to our retired sales manager, Tom McDowell, and Tom responded back saying that he was sorry Alan's life was cut short. Again, we worked together and learned to like and respect each other during the summer of '73. We talked by phone, and actually, I saw him when he came to Waco in 1974. Then 20 years later, in 1994, we had a telephone conversation. In recent years, we talked some on Facebook. I'm really sorry I'm not going to get to see him again, at least not this side of glory. Alan was a good guy, and rest in peace, my friend. I trust that God will give comfort and strength to all who were touched by his legacy and example. I'm sure there were many were touched by him. Have a good evening. Okay.